Good evening, everyone. Tonight I'd like to dedicate this video to Joachim Schuster. He's a viewer in Germany, and he's working on Climb Every Mountain. So I thought I'd go through it a bit, just give you some ideas on how I'm practicing it. But first I want to read you a quote that was made by Seymour Bernstein, and I just enjoyed what he had to say. He says, "The love and the care you lavish upon a single note can be lavished on a person as well. Through productive practicing, you can achieve a wholeness that enables you to relate outside of yourself with confidence and a desire to benefit others. You can become that ideal musician, a contributor not only of musical values, but of human values as well. For all of these reasons, I invite you to practice." I thought that was really well put. So anyway, we'll go on with this now, and I'll show you what I'm doing. First of all, I'll show you what I think of in terms of my tone. I'm so relaxed, and I've got to think about gravity. So I've got to be able to use gravity. I'm working against it as I lift all this arm weight and body weight up over. The shoulders are dropped. I want to be able to dive deep into the keys and think of no bones in the fingers, because I don't want a harsh sound. I want a caring, compassionate sound, even in the huge tones. So when I release to gravity, surrender to gravity, I dive right down in, but I want to voice the top of the chord so that it sings more. The firmness of the finger comes from this against this, makes it firm, but I want to have the weight more on that. You know, when you build strength in your knees, you think of using weights, more and more weights, and give time to rest, and it builds, and eventually it builds a thickness like a callus that is something that you can load weight onto that joint, and it doesn't bother the joint. And that's what you have to do to your fingers in your slow, heavy practice, to build them up so that they can take this weight that you're going to balance in the keys and voice. But try to think in terms of that sudden release, that the elbow fires the arm out over the keys like a golf swing, allow the load to settle over the top, and then it can drop. And when it drops, lean on the top and voice that top note so that you make it sing with warmth. If you think of the hand like a beanbag, it's all these little pellets of loose weight in there that flop down as you sink down through, dive down through to the bottom, and the fingers just kind of grab all those little pieces together. And that's the strength in your hands when you're playing a single chord. So when I come into this then, see, there's nothing harsh. Now I'm counting, and even though these are just quarter notes, I'm micro counting 4/16 on it with my tongue, just tut 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 tut, so that everything is perfectly aligned in time. So it loops down to G. See, I go to that note now. So when I'm practicing those chords, because it just repeats the G, the low G for the whole line, I'm just thinking of this. Now I've got to get ready for this. So the way to learn a sequence like this really well is to start at the end and work backwards. So if I take that last chord and I go, then I look at what's the chord before it. Well, it's, so if I can go, it's not that easy, but once you do it, you realize when you're going forward with that line that it's just, and it allows you to start to feel in half bars. because those are the main notes that come on the half bar. So this one, I want a beautiful singing tone on that note. So I've got to, again, bring all the back of that upper arm over the key, let the elbow have that little kick up over, and release to flop down. And dive right down through to the bottom of the key, and get a warm tone from the piano by no bones in there, just a warmth. But make it sing by snapping the finger toward you that little wee bit. It gives it the depth. This is where it starts to get hard. This last page is what's really difficult, and because of all the big jumps, up, down, back, forth, and so you need to practice it. And the way I practice it is, besides doing all kinds of uneven practice on it, I take that first chord with a good tone, and then I get as fast as I can over this next chord, but I don't play it. I just feel it with the pads of the fingers. I feel the keys, the ivory. And then when I do the next one, I get over the next chord, the third chord. So I'm right over this next chord, every note of it, not just the octave, but so I'm over that, you see? And then once I drop and play it, sit on it, then I get over this, and then I play. So I do the uneven practice too. I go, wrong note. You see, even though there's eighth notes in there besides the quarter, I pretend they're all equal length notes when I'm doing it this way. And I don't go any further than 2 bars. And then I go the second way. So that was long, short, long, short, long. Now I go short, long, short, long, short, long. See, now I'm really aware that that's an A, and then I've got to get. Now I do triplets. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. So 1. This is hard, so I don't need to go fast. I need to get over the next chord as quickly as I can. So down. Second way, I go da-dum, and then triplets from there. Da-dum, da-da-dum, da-da-dum. So down. So the trick is to get over the next chord as fast as you can, but don't have a harsh tone. So again, dive right through to the bottom and think of the flesh of your hand and the warmth of your hand, and that's going to give you a tender, warm, caring, compassionate sound, a human sound. So the second way, once again, would be third way is to the third one. So and then I go too long, too short. So I go. Now I'm looking ahead for what's coming up next. And I do it a couple of times to be absolutely dead on without the fingers touching any notes they shouldn't touch. Now the third way, straight da-da-dum. So and then too short, too long. So first is too long, too short, and then it's too short, too long. Now the next way is 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Keeping it clean if I can. Now the next is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And then the last one is 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Not accurate. Then I take it backwards and I go playing it one note. So that'd be like at the end of that string, and then I go one before that and then that one, and then I go the one before that. So now we've got the F sharps and the D sharp. Then I go one more back. So now another back, and then sorry. And when you get through all of that, then it doesn't seem nearly as difficult when you go. So that's the trick, is to just really be diligent about just 2 bars. Don't do any more than 2 bars. So now I'll go through just that last page very slowly, but trying to get a good tone on every release and dive into the bottom of the key. With the hand that relaxed, the palm, the flesh warm, and trying for a tender, warm sound, even in a huge chord, but just have that grip on the top and the doorknob to bring out what you want. But hear all the notes of the chord. So let's see now. If it goes for the repeat, it goes down. Or if it takes a second ending, then it's coming from this, where it's got a release on the way up. Just get that dive right in. It's so important to use like a cannon, sending your elbow and your arm weight out, dead weight over the key, to be released so that gravity can accelerate it down. And the higher you get, the bigger the sound, because the bigger the distance of acceleration. But you want to feel the fingertips are touching the key. And then if these hands are like the little bean bags full of all these little particles of weight, the fingers close in on them as it comes in. So I'll go further back. Too harsh. So, so the trick is to get over the next chord. Don't start playing before you're even there. Get over it. So I hope that gives you some useful ideas in practicing, and it's a fun piece to play because it's a powerful, huge thing, but it is very difficult with all those wild distances. But practice, once you've done that on 2-bar sets, practice starting at the end of the piece, add 1 note at a time backwards, all the way up to the top of that page. And by the time you turn it around and go in the direction you're playing it, you'll know it. Because you know what to shape for, and you know that you have to get over those next notes before you play and drop into that chord. And include your seat weight if you need a huge sound. Get right in with your body and lavish the sound on the listener with pleasure, because you know that you're diving right to the bottom for a warm, full bodied tone, not a harsh hitting sound. You're trying to make a wave, a sine curve out of the vibration of that piano wire. And the only way you can do it is that slow dive, and then the taking, the gripping and voicing, and no bones, no harshness. Get that tenderness. It works for, like if I was playing a piece like this. See? I can, as long as I gather the sound. Drop gently, tender. Take a beautiful sound out, or put love into every note you play, and think about the sound that's coming out of the piano in that way, and listen as though you're the listener listening to your performance and feeling, am I receiving the feeling of that person's heart when they're playing, or is it just notes? And you want to go for the humanity, the heart in it. And then it's going to be communicative. It's going to make people feel good when they listen to it. So anyway, I hope that gives you some good ideas. Have a good night now. Bye-bye.